Well, by 2019, you went undercover with a white supremacist organization called the Base?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So this is where the educational part starts coming in. And I lay this out in the book, and the way I kind of say it, I mean, I just taught this block the other day at a police academy. When people hear white supremacy, generally in America, they think hoods, robes, the KKK. I can tell you from the KKK groups that I was around and infiltrated, I mean, maybe you got some felons in possession of weapons, but on a scale of what I'm getting ready to talk about, it's not even close. Accelerationism around 2018-19 was considered cringe by a lot of white nationalists. You had Adam Waffen, you had the Base, and that was pretty much it. But 2 to 3 years after that, if you're in these dark web apps like Telegram, Riot, Threema, Wire, 4chan, 8chan, 12chan, whatever they're on now, Gab, you will start seeing that the majority of white nationalist groups are now accelerationists. And this is scary because I'll explain to you what an accelerationist is. An accelerationist does not believe there's a political solution to save the white race. They believe that society is going to collapse on its own or from man-made events, and they want to speed it up, hence accelerate it. But their belief system they call siege culture. James Mason is a longtime white supremacist, wrote a book called Siege. Don't go buy it or try to, because you'll probably show up on the FBI's list. But it's basically a lot of interviews.
I was about to Google it.
Yeah, no, well, you can Google it. No, you can Google it. You know, yeah.
All right, I don't want to get
just say I'm Scott Payne researching. Yeah. But it's called Siege, and it's basically a bunch of interviews, and he puts it together in a book. But this guy idolizes like Charles Manson, other satanic stuff. But the big thing, the shift is, look at Charlottesville. You had everybody marching down the street with picket signs, yelling racial stuff, and the siege culture does not do that. The siege culture thinks that's a waste of time. You're not doing any good for anything, and you're making yourself a mark, a target. Siege culture looks at guerrilla warfare tactics. We're going to stay hidden. We're going to cause chaos through maybe you kill a lefty journalist, maybe you kill an Antifa type, non-whites, blacks, Jews, poisoning water systems, taking down power supplies, derailing trains, anything to kick off. They may have changed the terminology now, but it was called the Boogaloo. They referred to Boogaloo as the D-Day. And then you hear things like they take the scene in the Matrix of red pill and blue pill, and they use that verbiage. If you're red pilled, you're a neo-Nazi, you're an accelerationist. If you're blue pilled, then you're like, hey, what about your mom, your dad? What do they believe? Oh, they're blue pilled. They're snowed over, which is comical in its own way to me and its sinister own way, because the scene that they're doing all that based off of in Matrix is Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
They're basing all their verbiage off of a black guy.
And a mixed guy.
All right? But I mean, just picture like militia meets doomsday prepper meets white supremacist neo-Nazi.
Well, this group, the Base,
yep,
isn't it running from Russia?
We did learn that the leader, the founder of the group, is a U.S. citizen born, Villanova grad, Army, former Army, Intel, I believe, and at some point had contracted into the Department of Justice. Originally, we had heard FBI, but I never clarified which department, but as like an IT type. So you can look and see, okay, well, when he was in Villanova, you can see stuff he posted. He was not a radical white supremacist. What happened, I don't know. But he now resides in St. Petersburg, Russia, with a Russian wife and Russian kids.
So he runs this white supremacist hate group from Russia.
He did. He's trying to fire it back up, but we pretty much made it defunct when we took the case down.
Okay. And the Base has something called hate camps.
Yeah, well, so we're always training, right? So for me to infiltrate them, they were openly recruiting online, like a lot of extremist groups do. And I answered that call, and then I answered email questions, thorough questions for about a week, back and forth, back and forth. Then I was told to download the Wire app, which is similar to like WhatsApp. You can do phone calls and stuff like that on it. And in July of 2019, I did about an hour and 15-minute panel interview with approximately 5 people. I clearly knew the leader, Ronaldo Nazzaro. I could tell which one was the leader running the thing. But I mean, I heard like some young voices on there asking me questions, you know. I went in as a former skinhead, old biker from South Carolina. And I passed the verbal test, the screening process, passed the emails, passed the panel interview. And then I was told that when I said I was out of East Tennessee, they said the closest cell, C-E-L-L, to me was in North Georgia. And I went and did a face-to-face vetting. Here's what's crazy. Al-Qaida, translated to English, is the base.
Oh, okay.
Al-Qaida's MO was 3 to 5 man cells all over the world, training, waiting for the phone call for D-Day. The base's MO was 3 to 5 man cells all over the world, training for the Boogaloo. So, coincidence? I think not. But yeah, so I go and I meet somebody that we were all interested in, everybody that was investigating this type of stuff online. And then, I'm going back again. Freedom of speech, that's our First Amendment right? So you go into these, you can read thousands and thousands. If you get in the groups, you can see some of the most hateful, vitriol stuff, but it's protected First Amendment speech now, at least in America. The trick is how do you know which one of those is going to be the Charleston church shooter? How do you know which one of those is going to be the Tree of Life shooter in Pittsburgh, or the Christchurch shooter, or the Buffalo shooter, or the Walmart El Paso shooter? We don't. You got to stay vigilant and go in there. And there's just so much. But there was one guy in particular that had been posting some crazy radical stuff, so much so that we thought it might be another undercover. Because if you go into a chat group and you start blowing out, like they call it Fed talk. If I'm saying, let's go kill us a bunch of blah, 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 bro, this is Fed. Why are you talking? Why you get the Fed talk? Or they'll say, you're glowing. In other words, you're a snitch, you're a Fed. But it wasn't. It was true. And lo and behold, the cell leader that I ended up meeting face-to-face was that guy. He went by TMB, the Militant Buddhist.
Well, right, because you have this other group called the Boogaloo Boys.
That's militia stuff. That's anti-government.
Right. And they kind of overlap with the base sometimes.
No? So this is the thing. So like January 6th happened, there's so much confusion in the media and public. Anti-government is that January 6th stuff. White supremacy is something different. The Boogaloo Boys, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, that's all anti-government, pro-Second Amendment, and maybe doing violence to get that, to overthrow the government, but it's not necessarily white supremacy. I mean, the Proud Boys leader, even though it's come out that he may have been a snitch or something, he wasn't white. I've met other Proud Boy members and undercovers that I did in militias that weren't 100% white. But the base, Adam Waffen, and then you start getting into some more satanic, deep, dark stuff like Order of Nine Angles and now 764. That's your accelerationist view.